Hey everyone, today's video is going to be a little bit different compared to what we were doing before. Today we're going to talk a little bit about a specific skill. To be specific, it's about one of the new hero classes that will come out this coming month, which is Hela. If you don't know who Hela is one of the new hero classes that will be released in Ragnarok Online. She's a hero class, and if you don't know what hero classes are, it's basically a new take on the characters for Ragnarok Online. It has a much more simplified gameplay, and there's significant. I would say some of them are significantly stronger than the classic hero classes. But yeah, today we're gonna focus on just one particular skill of Hela, not all of her skills, which is Fatal Dream. We're gonna talk a little bit about the attributes of the skill, how the mechanics works, the damage computation, and overall what's my take on it, the pros and cons, and how I think it should be best utilized. Before we start, big thanks to Team Leaks for extracting the game data and doing the usual translations. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. Likewise, everything that I'll be talking about here is based on CBT details, so a lot of these things may change once a character actually does come out in the official servers. Okay, to start off, just a brief description, right? And this is based on my understanding. It's a dramatic expression of how I understood the skill. So basically, Hela unleashes the power of poison magic to bring the reckoning upon your enemies. The skill targets a single foe and deals massive damage not only to them but to all those around them. The damage inflicted increase based on the amount of soul interference present on the target. It's a killing blow to enemies with low HP, leaving them with no chance of resurrection. Under Black Collar Party, which is her buff skill, it delivers a fixed amount of fatal damage to all targets. So watch your foes writhe in pain as their fate becomes sealed by the toxic grip of Fatal Dream. So a little bit over dramatic, but kind of like it. Okay, so so yeah, it's a magic attack, and the launch range is about 6 cells, which I think is pretty decent. And then the AoE range is about 5 cells circular from the point of impact. And so it's pretty similar to some of the skills where it's single target, but then once it hits an enemy, it becomes AoE. So it's 5 cells. It's a circular range with your target as the center. Cooldown is a little bit high. It's about 8 seconds. And I also don't like the VCT wherein it's 6 seconds. I know 6 seconds isn't so big to negate. It just needs about 180 dex. But then, with all of the debuff classes increasing cast time based on your VCT or FCT, this may become a problem when you start using her in wolf matches. Skill multiplier is 4,500%. Again, it's around the lower end, I would say, but it does get increased by the layers of soul interference. And then the element, again, it's poison. It's locked to poison. Some of the auxiliary things that the skill does is it instantly kills enemies whose HP is lower than 25%. This 25% is if there are 5 layers of soul interference on the enemy. So you see, if you don't have 5 layers on the enemy, obviously the cap is going to be lower, so the threshold is going to be lower. So you do want to make sure that you have a decent amount of soul interference on the enemy before casting this. I mean, if you really want to set it up for the kill. The code used for the instant kill is same as soul depravity, so pretty much it's the same mechanics as soul depravity. It blocks resurrection, so when you kill an enemy this way, it blocks their resurrection for that enemy for a few seconds. This is the rune effect, so if you don't have the runes, then they can still be resurrected. Under Black Collar Party, so again, Black Collar Party is, for a lack of better terminology, this is her ultimate. So it's basically once she racks up on soul interference levels, she's able to cast Black Collar Party, which enhances all of her other active skills. So under Black Collar Party, When the enemy's HP is greater than 25%, which means it's not enough to instantly kill the enemy, again, the 25% is based on the layers of soul interference, then it deals true damage equals to 25% of the enemy's max HP. Again, 25% based on soul layers of soul interference. And so, if you think about this, right, if black color party is not enabled, it's just damage plus a chance. It's damage plus instant kill if it hits the HP threshold. However, if you do have black color party enabled, it's damage plus instant kill or a fixed damage of about 25% of their max HP, which I think is really great. Okay, I mean, if you're DPS build, probably this edition is just mediocre. I mean, not so overwhelming. But what this means is you can build Hela in a non-DPS way and still be able to deal decent amount of damage to enemies whenever black color party is enabled, because it's 25% of their max HP, right? And then for those who are already at lower HP, you can execute them basically, right? So yeah, I think overall the after effects of the skill is really really good. I think this is my favorite skill amongst all of her skills, because it just opens up the window to a lot of uses for this character. Um, a lot of characters, when they're utility or support, they generally tend to stay that way, and other people would have to do the killing. However, for Hela, because of this skill, you're able to do you're able to be a debuffer or a disruptor, but at the same time still be able to kill your enemies and still do decent damage, which I think is really good. Now, moving on to the damage formula. The damage formula is somewhat underwhelming if you ask me. It's nothing special. Okay, in fact, all of her skills except for her normal attack use the same formula. I think the devs decided they just don't want to put in so much variety, right? Just so it's easier to code and easier to maintain, or I don't know what they were thinking, but it just feels to me like there's nothing special in the damage computation, with the exception, of course, of a couple of things, right? I mean, Lash, one of her passive skills, which basically allows you to increase your damage if certain conditions are met. So it's over here, as you can see. One of the things to note is that only one stat needs to reach 0 for it to be activated. So it's not like you have to zero out all of the enemy stats. So as you can see here, math.min basically means pick the lowest amongst these things, right? And whatever the lowest is, right, check if it's equals to 0, right? And if lash level is greater than 0, then this this formula here is true. Again, soul interference layers also increases the skill multiplier. Again, nothing too special. I mean, if you think about soul depravity, right, the number of souls you have also increases your skill multiplier. So, not so special, right? And then lastly, the lash multiplier is comparable to skill damage increase. I mean, I'm just saying comparable because it's at the end of the formula. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but it does a little bit more compared to just, putting it inside the skill multiplier. Because then it doesn't become additive, it becomes multiplicative. So yeah, damage wise, I think it's a little bit underwhelming. Doesn't do anything special. Not like it adds it adds an extra twist to the gameplay or to the damage computation. Pretty much just like your same, average magic skill. Now, in a nutshell, right? If I were to say what are the pros of this skill, what are the positive things about this skill? One is it's a magic attack, right? It can't be blocked by Kyrie or safety wall. I know there are other things that affects magic, but you think about this. This has instant kill, and it can't be blocked by Kyrie. If you've been playing with an SBX in Wolf or in certain PvP scenarios, you know that Kyrie is one of the is one of the problems, right? When you want to kill someone, right? If the support is good, Kyrie's always up. Therefore, you have to break it first before you can actually execute them. Now here, don't really have to worry about that. I mean, it's his magic skill. It doesn't get blocked by Kyrie. And of course, the instant kill. Instant kill is always good, right? I mean, not having to worry about the things that would save a character, and instantly just wiping a big portion of their HP. I think this is really one of the things that makes his skill good. Also, the fixed damage under Black Collar Party. Again, one of the best things about this skill, if you ask me, because it opens up a lot of opportunities for different builds for Hela. Now, again, I said this at the start, right? Some of the cons is the high cooldown. 8 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. 8 seconds cooldown. I think it's a little bit too much, which basically means this skill isn't spammable. If you want to make it, I mean, if you can get 50% cooldown reduction, it's still 4 seconds. Still a little bit long, right? I mean, obviously they have to balance it, right? I mean, you can't really create a skill that instantly kills and you can spam every second. But all in all, I think the 8 seconds cooldown is a little bit long, which basically means you need to be a little bit more strategic when playing this class. Again, high VCT, 6 seconds of VCT for me, I think it's too much because when you are up against the buffers that would increase your cast time based on your VCT, then this will become increasingly more difficult to manage. Unless, of course, you use Hela with Piccolo, right, which is a relic. And then you don't really have to worry about cast time. The other cons about this skill is that the multiplier, it's not at par with other core skills of other DPS classes. It's I know this isn't her only damage skill. I mean, Bottled Spirit is also decent, but if you just look at this skill, right? I mean, I would say it's somewhere along the lines of the skills that maybe are just mediocre or less mediocre. And then lastly, it's locked to poison. The element is locked to poison, which means your enemy wears her Gyope card, you are at an instant disadvantage. I know it's the same thing with Soul Depravity, same thing with SPX, same thing with a lot of heavy hitting skills out there. However, it just feels like this is one of the cons of this skill. It being locked, but of course can't do anything. That's a character design, right? I mean, it has to go in style. So overall, what do I think about this skill? I think this is an awesome skill, right? I mean, even though I did list down a lot of things I don't like about it, I do like the fact that it allows you to be utility, tank, but at the same time deal decent damage. We're just talking about this skill. We haven't talked about the synergy of the other skills, but if you do know her skills well, then you do know there's big potential for this skill to be one of the main arsenal for this hero class. So yeah, overall I give it a thumbs up. I think it's one of the skills you definitely have to look out for when you're in war, when you're in wolf matches or in magic prison. So I think it's better you prepare yourself for this. Not saying it's gonna overpower everything out there, but I think this one may have the chance to really flip the battle. Okay, so that's my thoughts around this class. Around this skill. If you do have questions or any comments, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Feel